Today, we just learned minutes ago.
And more charges against the rapper Young Thug.
He is one of 28 people named in a massive gang indictment.
Many of the charges related to the indictment point to Young Thug's rap lyrics as well as social media posts as evidence.
Since his rise to the limelight in 2013, Young Thug has retained his place with the giants in the music industry, collaborating with Drake, Future, Kanye West, and so on. Most people struggle with how to label Young Thug because sometimes he proudly wears dresses and identifies as gender fluid. Other times, he is caught with weapons and drugs. On May 9, 2022, Young Thug was arrested on gang-related charges under the RICO Act and has remained in custody with multiple appeals for bonds denied. Arrests aren't especially new to Young Thug, but every time, he always found a way to walk until now. About 27 of his associates were also charged under the RICO Act and more violent crimes, including murder, with the prosecution alleging that Young Thug's record label, YSL, is a criminal gang. Today we'll be looking at his deadliest associates and what happened to them. Yak Gotti. One of Young Thug's childhood friends, Yak Gotti, has been familiar with the police and the criminal justice system since he was 16. 30-year-old DeMonte Kendrick, better known as Yak Gotti, was once a promising footballer in high school with scholarships from colleges. However, he lost a scholarship due to a rape allegation by a girl in his high school, a charge that he fought for 7 years. All these caused a butterfly effect in his life, and Yak came to have a close relationship with the streets and law enforcement for the next few years of his life. Being one of Thug's deadliest men, Yak has street cred, having survived being shot 5 times in a fight with the rival gang. In 2010, only 2 years after the rape charge, Yak was charged with the murder of someone that shot at his mom. In 2015, he and Lil Duke were arrested after a high-speed chase with the police that ended with him crashing into a trail. Yak and Lil Duke were on their way to retaliate against another gang member with stolen firearms. Yak ended up serving a 5-year jail term and was released in 2020. After release, Yak went hard on the music, with the big hit collaboration with Young Thug and Gunna in Take It to Trial. He mentioned he wanted to drop the street affiliations and focus on music, but his ways just had to catch up to him. In 2022, Yak Gotti was arrested once more, this time on charges of gang participation and the murder of Donovan Thomas, aka Big Nut. Let's take a look back at 2015. Big Nut, a mentor of YFN Lucci, was killed, and YFN was the rival of YSL. Some allege Big Nut was a police informant and the hit came from Young Thug. Young Thug was also caught on tape talking about how some people have to fall for the victory. The death of Big Nut will be a major source of conflict between Lucci's YFN and Young Thug's YSL. The DA relies on an image of Yak standing on Lucci's car in the charge sheet to prove gang wars. The DA also relies on some of Young Thug and Yak's lyrics to indict Yak. Yak is currently in Fulton County Sheriff's Jail, awaiting his trial date. In June 2022, his mother mentioned that Yak was the victim of a knife attack in prison. However, deemed a threat to potential witnesses, Yak has had several applications for bonds rejected. After allegations of snitching, Yak, on a now deleted Instagram post, released a statement saying, "2015, my brother never did a day in jail because I claimed my shit. I did 4 years fed with no tears. Stop the cap." Unfortunately, for Thug and Yak, there are at least 26 other people that might be willing to talk to the cops. Shannon Stillwell. Shannon Stillwell, or Shannon Jackson, known on the streets as YSL SB, is another deadly individual associated with YSL and Young Thug. Like Yak Gotti, Shannon Stillwell was charged and accused of the murder of Big Nut. Some witnesses came forward that it was SB that shot Big Nut in January 2015. According to the YSL indictment, in January 2022, SB would post a picture on Instagram with a Spanish caption referring to Big Nut's grave. 7 months after the death of Nut, SB would be targeted by rival gangs. The attack left the driver of the car, Tiara, dead, with SB and his girlfriend suffering grave injuries. Barely 1 month after the attack, SB would be arrested for the murder of Big Nut. In the police interview, SB would identify 3 people that tried to kill him, revealing their nicknames. 2 years later, SB was still in jail without any indictment. His lawyers tried to get him off, relying on multiple attempts on his life in the prison system. His lawyers would mention that SB would likely be a prison casualty if sentenced to prison. SB would eventually be back out on the streets, only to end up back following the murder of 23-year-old Shamil Drinks in March 2022 at a traffic light. The car at the incident was recorded by the surveillance video, and only 3 days later, the police will find the white Audi car. This led to a pursuit of the Audi and the capture of SB and Quamarvius Nichols. Shannon has 7 counts pending against him, including participation in criminal street activity, the possession of a firearm, and possession of a firearm during a felony. Shymel Drinks is alleged to have been killed as retaliation for the gang hit. His body was found in a car only 2 days after fellow YSL rapper Unfunk's friends were murdered in a drive-by shooting. Stillwell was indicted as one of the triggermen in Shymel's death. Previous Fulton County prosecutors have been reluctant to charge popular black artists, but the rising death rates in Atlanta have added pressure to halt the death rate. This has led to attacks on both YFN and YSL by law enforcement. Deaths like that of Shymel Drinks can no longer be ignored. With 2 other murders on his plate, the pressure from the DA getting hotter, and Shannon Jackson seemingly facing a lot of jail time, there are some rumors that SB is going to snitch on Young Thug. Although there are no confirmed reports of SB snitching, his previous record of snitching from fear of his life when he was in jail might be worrisome for Young Thug. Quamarvius Nichols. Quamarvius Nichols, aka Qua, was the second person found in the white Audi that was captured during the drive-by shooting and murder of Shymel Drinks. Qua was also involved in the police chase with the same white Audi. This chase would eventually lead to the capture of him and SB. Later on the video, he identifies himself as Quamarvius.
Hey, what's your name? Quamarvius, what's your last name? Quamarvius Nicholas?
Although YSL is a record label, Qua, like SB, almost never had any music career. Qua was arrested before the DA charged the members of YSL in May under Georgia's RICO Act. He was charged with 6 counts, including the murder of Shymel Drinks. Other charges include gang activity, possession of a firearm by a felony, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. Prior to his indictment in March, Qua has had previous interactions with the police and law enforcement, with multiple arrests. A common theme in the 54-count indictment against YSL is the use of their social media. In a video, Qua is caught with SB stating, "I just beat a murder rap. Pay my lawyer $30 for that. Me and my slimes above the law." The words tend to incriminate Qua and other YSL as participants in gang activity. Lil Miles. Miles Farley, or more popularly known as Lil Miles or Slate, is one of the members of YSL named multiple times in the RICO indictment of YSL members. 24-year-old creator of the Make America Slime Again that has seen the likes of Future, T.I., and YSL co-founder Young Thug wear his brand. He also features in videos where other members of YSL are talking about gang activities and flashing gang signs. He appears in these videos with Yak Gotti, another alleged hitter on this list, SB, and Qua. The prosecution is alleging that Miles is a member of the YSL criminal gang. However, his attorney, Anastasios Benitez, argues that he had nothing to do with YSL explicitly, and his clothing brand is not YSL apparel. Lil Miles is also said to be one of the hitters in YSL. He is accused of being involved in the murder of Shymel Drinks. Following the murder of Shymel Drinks, the reports mentioned 3 suspects. The 2, Shannon Jackson, SB, and Quamarvius Nichols, Qua, were arrested in the Audi at the scene of the crime. Miles Farley was apprehended subsequently. Miles also faces 4 other counts from the DA, including a count for possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. Recently, Lil Miles had an audio recording of a phone call with the mother of his child presented at court. In the video, Lil Miles seems to give his wife instructions to get rid of something.
My gun under the bed, though. You can leave that under there. Hey, listen. You know the one. You know the one. Yeah, get him that.
It is unclear what exactly he refers to. His attorney, Anastasios Benitez, denies any tampering with evidence from his client. In another audio tape recorded, Lil Miles explains to his wife that he is accused of committing crimes for initiation into the gang. The mother of his child reminds him that he has a son and he has to think about himself and to do what he needs to do to leave prison.
And I'm trying to get more ranking in the game. That's why I guess that's why I did whatever they accused him. He's like, it's for initiation, like a higher rank in the game.
Yeah, but that's why you just need to cooperate and do what you got to do to get on up out of there, because you have a son.
Yeah.
So you can't be thinking about nobody else or what nobody else got going on. You got to think about you, because don't nobody give a about you but you.
Lil Miles' attorney also refuted any claims that Lil Miles is cooperating with the state. Big Briss.
New tonight at 5, we are getting our first look at the Atlanta police officer shot multiple times on the job this week. Officer David Rogers is still in the hospital tonight after he was shot in his shoulder, knee, and the back of his head while trying to arrest a suspected member of the Young Slime Life gang.
There are a few members of YSL more deadly than Christian Eppinger, aka Big Briss. Big Briss had one of the highest counts in the YSL RICO case, with charges ranging from armed robbery, hijacking a motor vehicle in the first degree, possession of a firearm by a first offender, probation, theft by taking, 2 attempted murder charges, conspiracy to commit a crime, and 6 other counts. At the young age of only 22, Big Briss certainly has accumulated a rap sheet. Even among the YSL facing charges, Briss stands out. Unlike SB and Qua, Briss also makes music. He has songs like Murder on My Mind and Homicide, where he flashes YSL gang signs and flaunts weapons. The warrant for his arrest cited his music videos, which was a trend in this RICO indictment. What do you guys think? Should rap lyrics be used in court? Big Briss was arrested on February 9th, 2022, after shooting a police officer 6 times. The police officer, David Rogers, had attempted to take Briss into custody on an armed robbery warrant. Briss resisted the arrest and shot the cop 4 times in his shoulder, once in his knee and once in the back of his head. We actually have footage of Briss shooting Rogers and attempting to flee. Prior to the shooting, the police alleged that Briss made a post on his social media, bragging about the robbery, which led to police officer David Rogers trying to arrest him. Another trend in this whole indictment is the use of social media. What do you think about how the police are watching the social media accounts of YSL individuals? Some, such as George Cheedy, an Atlanta reporter that has been following this YSL saga closely, say that it was the Briss shooting of a police officer that instigated the DA to come after the entire YSL group. The entire community is alarmed by the disregard of the police. The Fulton County DA was recorded talking about how she hopes to ensure Briss never sees the light of day. Although Briss temporarily had about $300K bond, it was quashed and Briss remained in custody. Being in custody didn't stop Briss, as Briss was also charged with conspiracy to commit a crime in Fulton County. Briss and Antonio Sumlin, aka Obama, are alleged to have participated in a conspiracy to murder Rayshawn Bennett, aka YFN Lucci, by discussing how to get permission from Young Thug and what the payment would be. Based on the charges against Briss and the evidence lying out there, it is unlikely that he will see the light of day again. There are many talking points in this YSL indictment, but one of the biggest questions is who is going to snitch. A number of YSL members have already taken pleas. Young Thug and other YSL members who haven't taken the plea deal are going to trial. This trial is likely going to have other big revelations. Some YSL who took plea deals, like Lil Woody, recently came out to mention that they would not be taking the stand during the trial. However, it will be interesting to see if any of Young Thug's affiliates and associates will be brave enough to take the stand against him. If you enjoyed this video, check out our other awesome videos on the channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.